Hi, I'm Kristin Davis, and I want to know, are you a Charlotte? Welcome back, everybody, to Are You a Charlotte? Part 2. Thanks for joining us. Here we go. So, Carrie struggles mightily, sees Big through the binoculars. Big sees her. Also, I just feel so angry at Big through this whole phase. I'm just like, Big, you're a mess, and you need to leave her alone.
A mess.
A mess. And that poor wife,
you know
Natasha.
Who he reminds me of? He reminds me of Jasper in The Holiday.
Which one is Jasper? Jude
Jasper is the man who comes to see Kate Winslet when she's on her Christmas holiday in LA.
Right. Is it Jude? Or the other?
No.
Who is it?
He's I don't know, some English, because it's Jack Black and Jude Law.
Rufus Sewell.
Rufus.
Oh, incredible actor.
Yes. And he is like, I've just missed you and let's go on holiday and this, that, and the other.
Ew.
And then she's like, wait, are you still engaged to be married? And he's like, I just wish you could understand how hard this all is for me. I'm so confused.
God.
I just watched it last weekend, so
my
I'm
God.
really in my moment.
It's very similar.
I watch it like 4 times every Christmas.
Wow.
But my God, it's like, you are with Natasha. You chose Natasha. Leave Carrie alone. And by the way, if you think you made a mistake, then leave that woman and apologize and then move on.
He's going to do it, but he's going to do it in the worst possible messy way.
I just can't understand it. It's like,
I know.
Say the thing and go.
Totally.
The mess is so unnecessary.
I agree. But I also feel they're only as mature as they are, right? They can't, you know what I mean? And Big doesn't really get as much excuse because he's older and whatever. But like Carrie, and this is what I love about Carrie. So the thing that I love, and I so relate to all of it, right? So she rushes out of the opera and then she tries to call Aiden and she gets the voicemail. Yeah. And, this is before texting, really, we weren't really texting a lot, right? So then she hasn't heard from him for 2 days and she fully spins out because previously they'd been like joined at the hip, right?
Yes.
That phase of the honeymoon of the relationship.
Sleeping over every night.
Right. And now she's just spinning. And you feel so bad for her. Like that's about her own development and like what she can't quite be with, right? Yeah. And so then she thinks she says to him, like, we just were too available to each other, which I kind of get, right? Mm-hmm. Like when you're just totally with someone and kind of taking them for granted. And she thinks like, I just need a little space, whatever. She gets a little space and then he doesn't answer the phone. And she's like, oh, what did I do? Yeah. I totally relate. Okay, wait. And then, in the very end, she goes to see him with his adorable little parents.
With his cute parents.
Oh my God, they're so cute, which is so rare. We never see parents in our show. Yeah. Never, ever, ever.
You know what I like about that moment? She goes and instead of going in, the knock on the window and
she gives him a choice.
She gives him the choice and she's really vulnerable. Yeah. And she runs him through her whole spin.
Yeah.
She doesn't try to hide it.
No.
She doesn't play it cool.
Yes.
She's like, I thought this and then I thought this and then I thought this and then I got scared and then I wasn't sure. And so now I'm here. And if you don't want me to be here, I'll leave.
Yes, it's amazing.
It is actually, you're right. She's learning a lesson in real time and being honest about the lesson.
Right.
And when she says, I flipped my stomach all by myself.
That's so good. That's so good.
It's a big lesson.
So good. So good. So here, let's go to Charlotte for a second because Charlotte, she is a funny girl. Sometimes, I look back at her and I'm just like, wow. I remember it, but I don't remember all of it. Do you know what I mean? Like I remember meeting Kyle, Trey, but I didn't remember that I go to the bar where
and Dennis is there.
Yes, I think Phil, the single guy's going to be there, but the married guy's going to be there. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It's so funny to me.
And by the way, him and Big, same.
Yeah.
And it is that thing. And it was so funny because as soon as you went to dinner with them, I was like, oh my God, it's Dennis. Because I remember the storyline and I remember thinking how crazy it was, watching the show in college. Because it was that like fall of 2000 that Brenna and I lived on the 5th floor together at USC. And we started watching the show and caught up. And then we'd watch it every weekend when the episodes would air. And I remember being like, that's insane. No one would ever do that. And then in my 30s being like, oh, that's happened. I've seen this happen. I've had it happen. My friends have had this happen. Like men are insane.
It's true.
And
sorry.
Oh my
everyone.
God. Like what is wrong with you guys? And so there was something so crazy about watching the episode ahead of this and going, oh, it's Dennis. And then as an actor, I watched every little choice he made. And I was like, there it is. There it is. It's like the sixth sense. When you know, you go back and watch the movie and you see it everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
And I knew. And I was like, then in my head, I was like, what does she do? Does she hit him with her purse? I feel like it's a scene.
Just push him or do I slap him? What do I do?
Slap him.
I mean,
great.
Which is so crazy.
Oh, I love it.
I generally, as an actor, I hate to slap people because I feel like I know how to do it. I went to, acting school.
Yeah.
But I feel like in life, how often do you slap or be slapped?
It's very rare.
Right.
I've slapped one person.
I don't think in life I've ever slapped anyone that I can think of right now. Certainly not since I've been sober.
Wow. Touche. Yeah.
But people write it into film and TV
All
kind
the
of
time.
a fair amount.
Yes.
And I'm always like, ugh, does it need to be that? But this I thought was great because also she's Charlotte, right? She doesn't see this coming.
No.
Not one little bit. Do you know what I mean?
And it feels like you really tried to slap some sense into it.
Right,
The
like
literal
what on
phrase.
earth?
Yeah.
Right, like I liked the way I did it because it was like you snap out of it. It was a snap out of it, share type moment.
Yes,
right, which is
yes.
she does. That might be the best slap ever. Anyway, then this was the great part because all I remember about this was that my goal was to get to falling in the street. I picked that lipstick skirt. I was on the plane home to LA. I was looking through the magazines like we used to do, the paper magazines, and I saw the Prada ad with the Prada lipstick skirt. And I called Pat. The plane hadn't taken off yet. I called Pat. And I was like, Pat, I need to get this Prada lipstick skirt. She goes, oh, darling, I don't think we can get it. She talks like, do you ever meet Pat?
I've never met her. I've
Pat
watched
has
her.
a very deep voice. It's like, I can't even really do it justice. She says, well, you have to have 5 of them because whenever you're going to fall into a street that's wet, because they have to wet everything down, right?
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen. So she's like, we have to find 5 of them. I don't know if we can. And I said, I'll go look. Because at that point, I was already my Prada-holic self, and I had a discount at Prada.
No.
Yes, I still have it. Knock the wood, okay? Knock the wood, man.
Oh.
I know it's good. It's so good. It's so good. And so I went. I think I might have gone in LA and New York, and then they had to call around and try to find them, through Europe. And down to the wire, we didn't know if we'd have enough.
No.
Yes.
Can I tell you something amazing?
Yes.
I have one.
What?
Yes.
We should wear them together.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I have it.
You have the lipstick.
Yes.
Amazing.
It was a thrilling acquisition for my little vintage collection.
Good job. And it's like safe.
It's gorgeous.
Good. Yeah. Because you
gorgeous.
can never find them.
No, I feel so lucky to have it. It's such an iconic piece. And when we were solidifying today's date, I was like, no, I'm already in LA and it's at home in New York.
Oh no,
and I'm so sad about it.
That's
but
okay.
I have it.
We know each other has it.
We're
It's a
gonna do
wonderful
something
thing.
with it.
I remember at the wrap party of this season, because we'd had 5 and I made sure to get one, right? One of Pat's friends came up and said, I'm so excited I got a lipstick skirt. I'm like, what? I was so mad.
It's
like, wait, what? Who?
How?
Can I?
Wow, that's amazing.
I know. But I'm sure she's enjoying it. Anyway, when I fell in the street, we only needed one.
You only needed one?
Yeah. Nothing ripped, nothing tore. It was all fine. That bag, I have a little Prada bowling bag, I feel like they called it. It's black and white. That was borrowed from Prada. The shirt, I believe I have, is just a very basic, I think the one I'm wearing there is just a very basic 3/4 leaf length thing. I think I still have the sleeve length. I think I still have that too. But I fall, and adorable Kyle is there to help me up. And
very knight in shining armor.
I know, and just so handsome. But it's also so funny because we're very, the way they filmed it, I'm sure it was 5 a.m. I love that. We shot on Super 16. So when the street lights go wacky, that's why.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's old film,
Beautiful. You get the haze and the pinwheel.
Exactly. So beautiful. And the way they pan around, and he just could not have been more perfect, obviously. A dream come true.
Yeah.
A dream come true.
Yeah.
And then I've said this many times, but I'm going to say this in case someone hasn't listened. The idea was that he was only going to do 5 episodes.
No.
Yes. The idea was that he was only going to do 5.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And that Trey, was going to be very, very boring. And that all the friends would be like, oh God, who's going to talk to Trey? But he was Kyle. And he couldn't, it wasn't that boring.
He's so yummy.
Beyond and so interesting. And he does things with such a very subtle twist. And they knew that he was going to have a messed up relationship with his mom and that there was going to be some problems in the bedroom. But also he was supposed to also be boring in regular life. But he just couldn't pull that part off because he was him. And I was just like, this guy can't leave. You know what I mean? And everyone else felt the same way. So he stayed, thank goodness. And we did many different things, but obviously he had to go eventually, which was sad, but needed to happen so that Harry could come and so that Charlotte could learn.
Yes.
Yes, indeed. No, yes.
Well, to allow you to build the life you think you want and realize it's not for you. That's a profound lesson.
Yeah.
And having been through that now as an adult, I wish the gravity of it had hit me sooner as a viewer.
Yeah, but I also feel like you can watch something and feel like, oh, that's amazing and so right on. But until you go through it, if you need to go through that, there's no substitute.
You can't learn a lesson until you learn it. And the thing that I think I've realized, and it feels very true for your story as Charlotte, is no matter what fear you feel, you can usually explain something away or work on it or whatever. You can't know that you're in a cul-de-sac until you drive to the end of the street and realize you can't get out unless you turn around.
That's true, for sure, yeah.
And I think there are moments where winding up on a cul-de-sac in your life is really meant to teach you something. And I think Charlotte had that. I know I had that. I can see that character journey for women I've played on screen as well. And I think it rings so true for so many people because so many of us have versions of that experience.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, that's well put. And I think it's interesting because you don't necessarily know that you don't want to be on that cul-de-sac till you're fully on it. Right? Because some people want to be on a cul-de-sac.
Yeah.
You know, some people get there. It's harder than they might have thought, but they do think all the things like, I need to work on myself. I need to whatever it is, right? And that if that is the thing that they really, really want, then they do need to figure out a way to make that work out, I guess. But then also sometimes that is not what you really want. And that's the key, I think, to be most in tune with yourself truly deeply about that, you know, which is not easy. I don't think that's easy.
It's
and
not.
I also think the conditioning, it's very hard to separate your internal desires from your conditioning because you've been conditioned since the day you were born.
Well, and you think that's what you want.
Yeah, you don't know the difference.
You say, this is my desire. This is my goal. I don't think you know it isn't, or that perhaps it's the right goal in the wrong iteration or whatever until you're in it and the thing that's supposed to make you feel full feels hollow and you go, oh no.
Well, that's the key, right? That's the key is when you're actually in it, how do you feel?
Yeah.
How do you feel? Do you feel miserable? Do you feel hollow? Do you feel like any of those bad things? Because there's really no amount of work you can do on yourself that's going to fix feeling hollow.
No. There's no amount of work you can do on yourself that's going to ease the eggshells you walk on in the wrong house.
Well, eggshells, that's a different situation. Eggshells suck so bad.
Yeah.
Yes. No, eggshells, very bad.
Run.
Any women who are listening to this, run away from any eggshell feeling. Boo. A million times boo on eggshells. Right. Eggshells is different for sure than hollow, I think, right? Like hollow, if I were in a situation and I felt hollow, which is rare, I don't even know if I would even get myself into a situation that I felt hollow in. But if I did, I would have to ask myself, am I blocking off? Am I is this threatening me somehow where I'm having to shut off my feelings? Because I have so many big feelings at all times. If I really felt nothing, I would have to examine that, right?
Yeah.
Like, why am I actually feeling nothing? You know what I'm saying? That would be an odd thing and worth examining. But if I did examine it and I realized, oh, that's because this is like if Charlotte had stayed with Trey, maybe. And I haven't rewatched yet. When Kyle was here, we talked about some of the things that happened, like the cardboard baby and things. I only vaguely remember it, right? Like it was a lot. It was a lot of plot that I hadn't experienced in life yet. And my friends hadn't really gone through either, like the IVF, all of that. Later on, many people I know did that. But and it's a whole thing. And I don't know that I did it justice. I'm really anxious to rewatch. But also he talked about some of the, when we weren't sure, and I think the writers were trying to carve out what was actually going to happen. And I know he was so great to work with, and we were so connected that I always felt very connected. I never felt hollow, but I do remember that there was that time, and I also knew he had to go, right, which was sad. But like that time when you just know that you and the other person don't want the same thing. And that no amount of love is going to fix that or attraction or whatever it might be, right? No amount of perfectness is going to make you want the same thing. Yeah. And if you don't want the same thing, you can't stay with that person. Yes. Because you will be giving up what you want. Yes. In theory, right? And that's not something that you should do. No.
There's a difference between compromising and compromising yourself.
Absolutely.
And I think the conditioning comes in, especially for women, because we are often conditioned to compromise to the point of compromising ourselves.
It's true. Because no one says to us, don't do it.
Yeah. And when you realize it's shifted from healthy compromise to I'm compromising myself.
Well, you think like, do I recognize myself? I mean, I have been in those situations where someone's asking me to do something or to give up something or whatever. And I have to say like, wait, I worked my whole life to create this. Yes. And you want me to quit doing it? Yeah. Really? Like I was in a relationship where my significant other wanted me to quit acting. And I was so burnt at the time. It was after the show and just burnt out, so tired, where I was like, well, maybe, I had that tired thought of like, maybe I could give it up and live this adventurous life with this person. And then later on I thought, what was I thinking? Yeah. I would miss it so badly if I actually gave it up. Also, you can't really give it up and go back. It's not that kind of job. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like, that's it. If you walk away, you walk away. And then I did also think that when I adopted my first child and I ran into Julianne Moore, this is another example of like the things I love about our business. Yeah. Ran into Julianne Moore and she said, how is it? How's it going? And I said, oh, it's so great. It's so great. I feel so bad being gone. And she said, that's okay. They're going to be fine. You have to tell yourself they're going to be fine. You're only gone for a tiny second in their mind, right? You're going to be back. And I said, I just feel like maybe I should take a break from acting. She said, don't do it. I said, don't do it. Wow. And she had 2 children at that point. She said, do not do it. I have friends who have done it. They can never get back in. I was like, oh, thank you, Julianne. Thank you, Julie. Ooh. Because like you have those moments where you're just like tired or tired of it.
And you do need time to recuperate.
I think that's different though than going like me. I'm kind of an all or nothing, right? Where I'm like, I'm so tired. Maybe I don't want to do it anymore. Yeah, but that's just how tired you are, right? That's how tired you are.
And then you go like, what was I thinking?
Right. Because also sometimes the well gets dry.
Yeah. If your tank is empty, you can't give.
Yeah. There's nothing to draw on or whatever. You have to refill the tank, but that's different than quitting.
Yes.
Very different.
Yes. But very different. You can convince yourself like, oh, I might just be permanently empty. You're not.
Right. But that's also like you're just so tired. You can't, function or whatever, Let's talk about Samantha for a second because this interested me, this storyline. I didn't remember the storyline. She basically is with this very hot athletic dude who's taking Viagra and he gives her some and then she has this incredible orgasm. And I remember a moment in time where they talked about giving Viagra to women for, pleasure, right? And I don't know what happened with it. Do you?
I sure do.
You do?
I do.
Let's hear it.
So this is actually really interesting. Okay. One of my girlfriends, Cindy Eckert, is an amazing entrepreneur. And she created Addie, which is the female Viagra.
Wow.
And when they were working on, advocating for this, for research dollars, for, the FDA to actually address the medication.
As we know, there's almost no research dollars given to women's issues.
Yes. Women were not even included in a clinical trial until 1993.
Wow.
Which is insane, considering we are 51% of the population and we also deserve health care.
Yes.
Less than 3% of all healthcare dollars go to women. So it's really,
of health
research dollars, I should say. Someone's going to yell at me for speaking incorrectly off the cuff. But the fascinating thing I learned from Cindy is that, her team learned that Viagra had been given emergency clearance by the FDA. It was said to be such an important medication.
Oh my gosh.
So important to humanity that it went through FDA clearance in 6 months.
Wow.
And she said, well, if you gave it to the men, give it to the women. And I won't say who, because I likewise respect other people's stories. But an elected official, like on Capitol Hill, looked her in the eye and said, what do we want a bunch of horny women running around for?
Ew.
And Cindy, to her credit, she's a baller, looked at this guy and said, well, do you want your wife to want to have sex with you or not? I was like, Cindy!
Yay!
She's amazing.
Amazing.
And yeah, she has been doing all this incredible advocacy for women's health, women's sexual health, all of it. And I think it's so interesting that, the idea that men might not be able to have sex at any moment they want to was an emergency. But women deserving healthcare for their sexual and reproductive function is still very brown paper bag, bottom shelf
Insane
conversation. And so she has a doc called The Pink Pill that's coming out. And she's just like out here doing this work. And so through our friendship, I've just learned so much about it. And so I was watching this episode going, oh my God, if only Samantha had Addie.
I know. So wait, can you get it?
You can.
Oh, wow. That's great. That's great.
But it was essentially the medication was bought by a, larger company and then shelved. And Cindy fought to get it back.
Whoa.
Yeah, she's amazing.
That is amazing. I want to see her doc.
But it was such a cool thing to watch the episode thinking like, oh my God, I wish that there had been anything for women at the time.
I know.
And I sort of love that, Samantha's storyline and Kim being such a great committed actress.
Yes.
Like she really leaned in on it.
Oh, yes.
And to play the desperation of, you can't take this away from me because this is making this better for me.
Right.
She did it so comedically, but knowing what I know, thanks to Cindy, I was like, oh, there's a whole other layer to this. And Darren Star doing such a genius thing in the writing of this episode, connecting that like gorgeous high note at the opera, like
that
going
was good.
straight into
really
Samantha's orgasm.
Yeah.
I literally put in my notes, I go opera to orgasm as a 10 out of 10 for
Definitely.
the writers.
It was good. It was really good. It was
such a
beautiful.
good hook.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was beautiful. It did make me wonder because I remember it being discussed, like in the news, I feel like.
Yeah.
And then it just kind of went away, which is interesting. All right, we didn't talk about Miranda and Steve. Let's try to talk about Miranda and Steve before time is up.
them.
Oh no. I know they're incredible. They're incredible, but
literally the butt.
I vaguely remember the storyline because I was kind of horrified.
I was just like, oh God.
I know. We're talking, you guys, about the skid marks. Okay, everyone's going to know who's seen it. I know. And the thing that's interesting about it, and I love the writing again, is that basically Miranda, who has been struggling with, kind of Steve's committedness and availability and all of the things that's also reflected in the Aiden Carrie relationship.
Yeah.
And so he is at home and, she's telling all the rest of us that he's predictable and safe, but she loves that about him, which is like, wow, right?
Wow, big growth. Yeah.
Exactly. And that her favorite thing to do on Saturday night is to do his laundry. And we're like, whoa, oh gosh, Miranda. And then she's there, they're eating lasagna and having sex and watching TV and everything's great. Yeah. And then she's doing the laundry and she comes across skid marks in his underwear, which is, just like, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
And it is, to me, it's kind of, and I don't have a lot of experience with this, but it's a little bit like, the kid element of Steve, the episode where he's watching Scooby-Doo, it's coming.
Yes.
There's a theme going on where he wants to have a baby and she's like, I already have a baby. Yeah. And I think Carrie says that in voiceover, Miranda realized she already had a baby. Yes. She might have already had a baby. I think this is a little bit like that too also. And also like, my thought was, why isn't he doing the laundry?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Well, it is that it's an elemental thing that it seems the writers want to weave in, which is this man a little juvenile?
Yes.
And it's reflective of that larger thing, which we know that so many women feel like they become their husband's mothers.
Right.
You know, I read this whole thread on Threads on the day before Thanksgiving, and this woman was like, my husband asked me if he could help. I said, yes, please handle all the, hors d'oeuvres, like the morning snacks. And he said, well, what if I drive you to the store? Can you go in and get them? I don't know what to get. And she was like, driving me to the store isn't helpful. Also, it's taking, like, I need to be here prepping. I'm not doing nothing. I'm prepping all of the food. You offered to help. Just go get something. And he couldn't do it.
Oof.
And she was like, I've done this for 13 years and it's kind of my fault. And I'm also fed up. And it was really interesting to watch all the women in the discussion. And I thought about it watching these scenes because she does love him. And he is absolutely fine reverting to letting the woman do everything for him. And it is that kind of generational learning pressure. Girls get one set and boys get another.
Well, look, I've got a 7-year-old boy, right? And he'll say, I'll say like, can you do X, Y, or Z? And he'll go, I'm kicking my ball right now.
And you're like, uh-huh.
And I'm like, yes, I see that you're kicking your ball right now. I mean, like what I'm trying to say is you're as a mom, my feeling at this point in time, at least, is that you're trying to create something that doesn't exist in them.
Yes.
Which is interesting. I don't know enough about the science of their brain and where their brain is right now to know why it doesn't exist in them. Because it would be true. I have an older daughter, right? But if I would have said to her, can you set the table? I kind of think she would have said yes and just done it. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So it's interesting. And then you're in the mom position of going, okay, intellectually, I know that I need to calmly reinforce that he needs to participate in helping, but also it is easier for me to actually do it.
Yes.
But that is then the way this all continues, right? But it's a very fascinating thing.
Yes.
And I think about it a lot as being a mom because you feel the responsibility. Okay, I've got to try to raise like an empathetic, functioning, kid/young man who's going to be doing these things and not be expecting the woman in his life to do them.
Yes.
But it's hard. It's so hard.
Yeah.
I don't know why,
Yeah.
but it really is.
And I think it's a great thing that they did, that your writers did, exploring this stuff with this relationship because they're asking these existential questions.
So much.
And Miranda is talking about what it's like to have this healthy intimacy that she loves, and also when does intimacy go so far that it cancels the intimacy out?
Absolutely.
On their walk and talk, to your point about those
yeah.
great scenes, she's like, "Oh, I think the intimacy's over now."
Right.
It's
and
too
much.
They're in it,
right?
And I love the conversation between Miranda and Carrie on that sidewalk.
Oh, they're always so great.
So great.
I know. They're so great. I would love to cut all of those walk and talks between Miranda and Carrie together from the beginning till the end. I mean, if we are really done, I don't know. But they're always so amazing. And I would have to throw in one that's not a walk and talk, which is this argument they get into, and just like that, after my birthday party, which is one of my most favorite scenes ever. But I need to ask you about something, and I don't know if I should or not, but I kind of want to because you have a unique life experience where you can speak to a Miranda issue that I would love to know your thoughts on.
Yes.
You have talked about this, so I feel like it's okay, but you can tell me if it's not. So you, to all the exterior world, were in a heterosexual relationship.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you were not in that relationship anymore and you were in a lesbian relationship.
Yeah.
And this can happen, correct?
Yeah.
So, Miranda, this happens to Miranda, right? And it also happened to Cynthia, right? Which they're different.
Yeah.
They're different. They're not the same. But when it happened to Cynthia and she kind of got outed, which we don't even need to get into because it's old history. But one time I went on Letterman and I was supposed to just be promoting the show, I think.
Yeah.
And one thing led to another. And he wanted to talk about how could Cynthia just wake up one day and be gay?
Wow.
Yes. So I did.
I think because it's a man's worst nightmare.
I think that's exactly right. I was like, are you worried, Dave?
Yeah.
Like, what's the issue?
What's going on, honey?
Like, who cares? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right? It is interesting, the floating fears that people have and then project onto people. And many, many, many of our fans believe that that is not what Miranda would have done, or that we were somehow being untrue to the character. We don't feel this way. I know Cynthia doesn't feel this way. I know Michael Patrick, who wrote it, doesn't feel this way. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But I just thought, since you're here,
I love it.
Your 2 cents.
Well, I think it's really interesting, and particularly because it was Cynthia's story, and then Miranda winds up falling for this non-binary person. I think in my brain, I always wondered when that shift happened. I was like, I wonder if they're specifically choosing this. Either because everyone loved Sarah so much, or because they don't want it to feel like they're copycatting Cynthia's real life.
That's interesting.
There's something there.
I don't know the answer.
And by the way, we don't have to. It's like not always for us. I think what's really important, and I always say this to people when someone's like, oh my God, I'm Brooke Davis's biggest fan. I'm like, no, I'm Brooke Davis's biggest fan. You can be her second biggest fan. When people are like, Miranda wouldn't have done that. I'm like, I'm gonna trust Cynthia and Michael's opinions about what Miranda would or wouldn't do above anyone else's. I think what's really interesting, and at least for me, there was a dissolution of, the thing that I worked so hard for and that I was so intentional about. I actually think intentional to the point that I made it something instead of necessarily taking stock of what was. In hindsight, I'm like, wow, I really produced that so beautifully.
Oh, wow.
It was a really incredible...
Almost like in a Charlotte.
Yes.
Like you were going to make that happen.
Yes. It was less for me about gender.
Right.
Truly, like one of my best girlfriends was the one who was like, he's not your guy, and I don't think a guy is your guy.
Oh, wow.
And I had always been like, whoever is my person is my person,
right.
you know?
Yeah.
But it was really interesting to have someone who knows me so well suggest something so specific.
Mm-hmm.
As it sort of started to dawn on me was, I've been trying to build safety, and I've been trying to build a life, and I've been trying to build, make. And before I knew it, I was like, I just have intimacy here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I have someone who sees me and asks me how I'm doing.
Mm.
I didn't have that before.
Right.
Like,
so it wasn't necessarily, this is so key and interesting. And this is what I do think.
Yeah.
I do think Cynthia has said publicly already about her situation. It wasn't about the gender necessarily. It was about the person.
Yes.
And
deeply.
I think that's a very important thing to say. But I do think that one thing that happens for people in life is that you get an idea of who you are, and then you have walls up. Well, I can't be that person.
Yeah. And I think for me too, it's interesting, the double standard for queer people in the spectrum, right? Like men that are bisexual are told they're obviously just gay and they haven't figured it out.
Yes.
Women that are bisexual are immediately told like, oh, girls experiment. That is what it is.
Right.
And so I think if you think or you feel or you know that you're bisexual, and then you're told that that's not really a thing unless you're like absolutely gay, you go, well, I don't think I am, so maybe I'm not really at all. Maybe I'm like an 80-20. Maybe I'm whatever your percentages are. And then for me, I think a real thing was all of a sudden I was like, how could this be like hitting me? It was like magical and really complicated, and became hard, I think, for other people's perceptions, whatever.
Well, listen, this is also what I'm talking about with Miranda.
Well, yes.
People project onto Miranda and
project
are still upset.
very intensely.
Right, it upsets people.
Yeah. But when it dawned on me, it was like a light switch went on. And I was like, I'll never unsee that this is the most at ease I've ever been around a person.
And isn't that what we all want?
And it's so gorgeous. And I feel so grateful. And she absolutely saved my life.
Part of the reason I ask you is that I do think each of us have such an unusual, unique experience if we're open to it, right? And what upsets me when people talk to me or get on my Instagram and talk to me about Miranda, I don't know why we have to keep things so closed.
It's so odd.
Right?
And there's also this very weird thing, and this bothered me about the discourse of your second chapter of your show, is people were like, oh, they're doing too much. Oh, like Miranda's not just going to leave Steve, she's going to leave Steve for a non-binary person. Oh, like, you know, of course the teacher is this person, and of course the realtor is the, and it's like, shut the fuck up. Like, just get over yourselves. The world is different. People are different. People have more awareness of each other, more overlap with each other. Certainly in a city like New York. You think this power lawyer isn't going to meet queer people in New York City? Get over yourself.
Of course, but also the other thing that cracks me up is that our DNA is to do too much. That's what we did with the first show. Do you know what I'm saying?
I love that.
It just evolved, right? And we couldn't do the same show because that wouldn't make sense, right? So we had to, but then everyone was like, oh, but in the beginning of Sex and the City, everyone was also like, oh, you know, so
I mean, people couldn't believe it.
Exactly. And everyone forgets that, right?
Yeah.
So it will be interesting to see over time what people, if the discourse changes, I have no idea. Obviously, the discourse has moved on because it goes very quickly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But thank you for answering that because it was a really beautiful answer. And I feel also, and I mean, Miranda's not a real person. It's also important to remember that. But I think that what we wanted to show was that you just don't know.
You don't know.
No.
You never know what's coming for you. You never know what, you never know what you're going to learn. You never know how you're going to expand.
Right.
And I think the most important thing for me, having been through my own version of it, is that as hard as it was to say, we've made a mistake, it's harder to stay in a life that stifles your growth.
Yeah.
That stifles your expansion, that steps on your joy. It's harder to live in a house where you walk on eggshells every day.
Yeah, no one should do that.
It's just not worth it.
No.
And so what I think is actually really important, and for whether it's for a character like her or, you know, for those of us who, like, for better or worse, have lives, you know, in the public sector, you get to not only be courageous, but you might get to be courageous in public and help someone else be courageous too.
I agree, because I think it's just important to remember that the world is large and you don't need to limit yourself.
No.
And I think for all the young people, you know, that's important to hear as well. You don't know what that means exactly, but just stay open. Staying open is so key, which brings me to my last question.
Okay.
Are you a Charlotte?
I mean, oh my gosh, I didn't used to think so. And let me tell you what, watching this episode, I was like, I didn't buy a book, but I definitely I made a plan.
You produced it, as you said.
You know,
yeah.
We really and you know, in the kindest way possible, I think you can get lost in that.
Yeah.
You know, I think we did.
Yeah. I mean, definitely. I think that you're obviously a very, you know, you're smart and you're functioning and you're together. So when you want something, you're going to pursue it, right? Which is how Charlotte, you know, and the way, I don't know if you remember that Charlotte proposes to herself and then she's all upset, you know, she basically makes him propose. She very much intentionally, she intentionally makes it all happen. And then all of a sudden she's like, oh no, it's not really what I thought. But this is a great lesson to learn and I love it. And I think, so when you said that you wouldn't have previously said that you were, who would you have said that you were before? Because you can be different ones at different times.
I've always sort of vacillated. You know, there are parts of, especially I think, like we were saying when we were younger, we all really identified with Carrie more. As I've gotten older, I'm like, maybe there's a lot of Miranda in me, actually.
That's cute. That's what I thought you were going to say. Yeah.
And it's funny. I think, you know, you go back and like we were saying, to watch these sort of seminal shows, from different life perspectives.
Yeah.
You'll relate to different
Very
things.
interesting.
And what I think is actually so cool is that I can look at pieces of each of those women and go, oh yeah,
Definitely.
I see myself in that.
Definitely.
And I think it's the genius of your show. There was something really magical that you all did where it's like you sort of gave us the Captain Planet of women and their experiences. And when you got together, then like this extra magic thing happened.
Right. That's what we wanted to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Really cool.
Yeah. And we did it. I mean, yeah, I think definitely I think different things when I watch it, now, obviously.
Yeah. Do you feel like
fully
you're
different.
a Charlotte?
I mean, yeah, I guess because I am, right?
Yeah.
But I always felt Carrie related in terms of her searching.
Yes.
Carrie is a searcher. She's going to search and examine and
I
turn it
connect to that
over.
too.
And yeah, I think I think is such a really hugely important part of her, but also so relatable and a part I love so much about her. And yes, she doesn't have it all worked out, obviously, but she's gonna investigate.
Nobody does.
No, nobody does.
Nobody does. And I think why not try?
Yeah,
and to go and to search and to seek. Sometimes it's a dead end, and sometimes it's a discovery. And I think the willingness to continue to show up, to remain in the arena,
right,
as the adage goes, is really key.
Yeah.
And it's a thing that I cherish about those women that you all played. And it's a thing I've like really had to learn to love and own about myself. Like I'm always going to try.
Yeah.
And I've finally learned, I think, not to keep trying just because I started.
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, that's hard sometimes. That's hard.
I think people get stuck sometimes saying, well, I chose this.
Right.
So I can't undo it. And
Right.
it's like, yes, you can. Life is long.
Definitely. Life is long and you have
Like
to
you
live
said,
with it.
you never know what's coming.
You don't. It's so true. Let's talk a little bit, Sophia, about what you're up to. I know you have your Work in Progress podcast. Drama Queens is wrapped.
Yes, we wrapped. We watched the whole show back, which
Amazing.
was so wild and surreal. Work in Progress is evergreen and so much fun. And I can't believe at the time we're recording, my guest last week was Vice President Kamala Harris.
Wow.
I mean, totally nuts. Amazing. Monica Lewinsky's on this week.
Great.
I just get to talk to all of these really fascinating women, whether it's like Chelsea Handler coming to make us laugh, or Ava DuVernay talking about filmmaking.
I love Ava.
Oh, she's just
a dream.
one of my favorite conversations ever. So I love doing that so much. I love this format.
Me too.
Just be with
Me too.
people.
It's really fun. And then acting wise, you're on Grey's Anatomy?
Yes.
What? Oh my gosh. Are you a
so
doctor?
Fun.
What do you play?
I play a trauma surgeon.
A trauma surgeon.
Dr. Cass Beckman.
Okay.
She overlaps with Teddy.
Okay.
Again, stories talking about, queerness and intimacy.
Oh,
and
fantastic.
I'm so thrilled about it. Kim Raver's a dream. We have so
Kim
much fun
Raver's
together.
A dream.
Yeah.
I don't know the characters' names. I know Kim, though. She's lovely. Tell her hi.
We have so much fun together.
She's great. That's fun. Yay.
Yeah.
Yay. I can't wait to see all your different
Thank
things.
you.
How
It's so
wonderful.
fun.
Thank you.
Yay.
Thanks for being here.